I'm in my own head. That's when I'm like solving.
Welcome, everyone. The clock has hit 7 o'clock and we're all present here. We have Trisha on the screen. Can you hear us, Trish? Hello. So thank you, everybody. We would like to start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you're able, please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic stands justice for all.
Before we get into our presentations and reports, I just want to acknowledge that last week was Teacher Appreciation Week. And so thank you. I'd love to give a round of applause to all our educators out there. First item on our agenda, we have a wonderful group of guests here this evening to present to us from the Washington, Saratoga, Warren, Hamilton, Essex, BOCES, and Dr. Trina Parker is going to kick that off for us.
Hello, good evening, everyone. It's a little tall, but I usually can project my voice pretty okay. Good evening. Thank you so much for having us. I am joined this evening by some of our team members. I have with me Miss Lynn King. She's our board president, Dave Petruska, our board vice president, and Kelly Shepard, our director for the Exceptional Learners Division. And in a moment, you'll hear from one of your students, maybe several if the other ones get here. But it's a really busy time for kids. So we're really honored and pleased to be able to share a little bit about our programs. Your district always invites us in to share about the wonderful things that we're doing. And every year we add a little bit more to our repertoire. So one of the things that we wanted to share with you is our strategic plan. You do have a booklet in front of you. This evening we'll be showing a video that summarizes the highlights of our strategic plan. We're really excited and proud of our plan and being future focused for our students. And in the coming years, you'll see big things happening at our BOCES, more pathways for students, more opportunities, a facilities plan, and some big things that we have in the works. We continue to be in awe. You talk about Teacher Appreciation Week. We are in awe of what our educators do for our kids each and every day. And we're really pleased to be able to share a little bit with you about that. So I will start with always the highlight of the evening, having your student or students talk a little bit about their experiences in our programs. So I'll invite Ms. Kelly Shepard up.
Good evening. I'm Kelly Shepard, the Director for Exceptional Learners, and I'm here this evening with
Denver.
Denver. And Denver is in one of our CTE programs. So Denver, why don't you start with telling us what program you're in?
I take the auto body repair course.
Can you tell us a little bit about the program and what you're learning about?
So right now I'm currently working on my car actually. But we start from dent repair all the way up to paint and clear coat and buffing.
So when I hit my garbage cans coming out of the driveway, I'm bringing it to you to fix. Yes?
Pretty penny, yeah.
Good. Tell us, Denver, a little bit. So you talked about money. Tell us a little bit about how you do your math and ELA in this program.
Right now, the only math we've really done occupational based is the money that it would take to buy products and how much the product would cost per ounce.
Okay. How about ELA? What do you do for English class in this program?
We have textbooks in the classroom and packets that we have to fill out for the textbooks.
And tonight you're doing one of your ELA standards. You're coming and presenting in front of people, right? Yeah. Denver, tell us a little bit. Have you done any internships or are you planning to do any internships in your time in auto body?
Definitely. If the shops would call back, that would be nice, but
What kind of shop are you hoping to get into?
just any auto body repair.
Okay. So Denver is in one of our CTE programs. That's a half-day program. So students attend school in their home districts, and then they come to us for about 2.5 hours They get to engage in their CTE program of choice in their shop with their hands-on learning with integrated math and ELA. That's what we were talking a little bit about with those occupational skills tied into the course program. So another component of our CTE, another aspect or program is our Early College Career Academy, or ECCA, which is where students are able to enroll in both a CTE program and take college courses. Students can earn college credit. Students who participate in our P-TECH program are able to then stay on and earn their associate's degree within the 6 years. So stay on past high school, which is a program that your students also participate in. So Denver, with the CTE program, was it a good choice for you to come to BOCES?
Definitely, yes. Get to meet new people, learn new skills, and, you know, real life stuff.
What's been your favorite part?
I just love working on cars, to be honest.
So, and what are your future plans?
Probably follow the career and become a professional.
Yeah. So what's great, Denver's a great example of students who are able to find a passion area and be able to pursue that and find the different pathways that are available to them. It's also a great opportunity for kids to find out what they don't want, right? And find out what aspects of the field maybe they don't want to go into a little bit more and find the ones that suit them better. So Denver, thank you for being brave and coming up here and talking with us. Does anybody have any questions for him?
Just a quick question. Were you interested in cars or just looking for something other than the day-to-day school?
A little bit of both, but
Okay.
mostly just cars. I like working on cars a lot.
Good.
So,
Thank you.
I have a question, Denver. How did you know that this was an opportunity for you, that this was an option?
our guidance counselors come around to English classes and present us with options for like college prep or go to BOCES. So
Nice.
So what's great about just our WSWHE region in general is the tight-knit community, and our guidance counselors from BOCES and our component schools do meet frequently to share information. So it's opportunities through guidance, also through our other opportunities like Women in Trades Days, CTE Works, which your district I know participates in as well to provide exposure to students at an even younger age. Any other questions? Thank you very much. I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Parker.
Thank you, Denver. Thank you. So before we move forward to our strategic plan video, one thing that I wanted to highlight is that in addition to our amazing programs for students, which we continue to expand, next year we'll be starting an EMT program, we'll be starting a video game design program, and the following year we're looking forward to starting a fire science program. So we have lots of programming in the works for our students, but none of that would happen without our regional partnerships and our regional leadership. So one thing that I wanted to do is just give a huge thank you to your superintendent. Mr. Luthringer has been a part of so many of our committees, so much of our planning, so much of our regional leadership, and nothing happens in our region without that partnership. So I can't give him an office at our BOCES because he has to be here, but he's there enough that I probably could give him a satellite office. So I just wanted to thank you for allowing him the opportunity to provide such leadership to our team and dedication to our team. The other piece that I wanted to highlight is Tony Muller is here with us this evening as well. He's our senior executive officer, and he's been coordinating our committees, our regional committees of superintendents for learning about and preparing for the electric bus transition, and also our facilities committee regionally so that we can develop some long-term plans for our BOCES facilities to expand our abilities to be able to program effectively for students. So this is a big, huge team project and team effort in order to keep these wheels turning and keep providing experiences for students. And we just couldn't do that without our partnerships and without the support of your board. So thank you so much for continuing to be our partners. And with that, I'd like to play a brief video that summarizes our strategic plan better than I can. I love, and probably one of the things that I'm most proud of, is the fact that our BOCES is visionary and that our vision really is to be a trusted leader. And when you think about being a trusted leader in education, a trusted leader in innovation, a trusted leader in workforce development, it really starts with that key component of trust.
I think the overall picture of the strategic plan is this idea of doing a comprehensive review of all our programs and all the services that we offer districts and the communities we serve, and how do we move those into the next several years? The idea of being future focused for each student in a 360-degree view of all their needs, while also supporting staff and creating an environment where people want to come to work.
I think the important thing about a strategic plan really is it's just providing that focus. It's really thinking about each person who works for our organization, you know, the ability, something to connect with, building that common language and purpose around the work that we do.
I feel like the mission creates more of a team environment, that we all have a focus for our mission and our day-to-day lives at BOCES.
I am so proud of our strategic plan because what it does is it really gives us an opportunity to be future focused for our students and to have a framework for the type of environment that we want to provide for our students for the years ahead. And so when I think about our strategic plan, at the core of that, one of our biggest priorities in our plan is the student experience. And so one of our primary goals is to enhance the student experience through service, through high quality academics, and through our instructional objectives.
We have districts sending their students to us because they can't provide what we can here. So they're seeking that programming for their students, whether it's CTE and that career and technical education, or on exceptional learner side, programming for students with disabilities and IEPs that need a different educational setting that they can't provide. So for us as a BOCES, it's important that we are focusing on what do districts need and how do we best support that? And if we don't have it right now, what do we need to do to get there?
In order to provide a positive environment for our students and an environment that sustains excellence, we really have to support our staff. And now more than ever, it's not only about supporting the staff that we have, it's about implementing actions and initiatives in order to bring high quality staff on board. It's about the human resources and the human capital that we have in front of us in order to provide the right kind of service for our districts and for our students.
I think that the strategic plan will create a stronger culture here at school between students and staff. I think it's only just going to improve the rapport that we've built among each other. And it's going to further prove that we are a leader in education here in the community.
And then finally, one of our priorities is operations. We think about operations in terms of facilities because the environment matters. And when we think about our strategic plan, we're focused on long-term planning for our students. We're focused on the physical environments that they walk into, the learning environments and the spaces that they walk into each and every day. But we're also focused on operations in terms of systems and having the right types of systems in place so that our operations flow smoothly, so that our work can be done most efficiently on a day-to-day basis. And so it's really those two buckets when we talk about operations. And those really are priorities that will sustain us over the next few years.
I love having a strategic plan. It's something that we can reference. It's a resource. It becomes our guiding compass for what we're doing. It's about becoming an organization, building a culture, setting roots, and really connecting with the people that we're working with. And I think that that's what's really going to bring our reputation in the community to a higher place. I also think it's going to be where people are going to want to stay for a long time and work because they're going to be proud to be there.
As with everything in education these days, we have to be flexible. We have to be ready to change with a moment's notice. And so the idea of being adaptable and flexible was really important when creating the action plan. Our priorities are big enough and large enough that we can make a shift if we need to, and we should be making shifts based on the responses and based on the things that we're seeing with our students, within our districts, and within our communities. So that idea around adaptability and flexibility is built right in so that we can adjust tasks, we can extend them, we can shorten them, we can do whatever we need to do to make sure that we're, again, working towards those priorities and that ultimate vision and mission.
I think the impact of having a strategic plan on stakeholders is just the fact that we really have an understanding and a roadmap of what we're working on. So when we turn to our stakeholders for involvement or for funds or support or bringing them into the classroom or getting our students out of the classroom to where they are. That roadmap and that strategic plan is going to give us our why every single time.
I appreciate so much that this is all in writing now and that we can look at it and read it and understand what the goals are and what the missions are, what the values are to make sure that students are getting what they need, but that also our faculty and staff are being taken care of as well.
I think having that plan would be beneficial because I would like to grow even more in my time here. I think having that plan and having that vision, I think will also help me with achieving something I want. And what that is to be able to make change.
As an educator, I think that just seeing more community involvement will be a great indicator to me that our strategic plan is actually working and has had a successful rollout.
So thank you again for allowing us to share a little piece of all the work that we've been up to. And I'd like to give our board members an opportunity to say a few words if they're interested.
Well, it's always our pleasure to come to the districts and present your students to you. And I think one of the favorite things of mine when I go on a lot of these visits, because the most exciting thing is to watch board members' faces as they're listening to their own students talk about how successful and how much they're enjoying education. So those opportunities up for success, it makes you feel good. And you guys are such a part of our BOCES, and we appreciate all of that. So thanks. Dave?
Yes, just repeat. It's a pleasure to work with all of your youngsters and the various communities that we have visited over the last few weeks, months, whatever. But we've been Indian Lake, here, up the road to Newcomb, and then last night we were in Warrensburg. So we get around, and it's interesting, but the kids are the key factor, just to see them articulate their opportunities. And we wish them the best and go from there. And we appreciate your support, believe me. Without you folks, none of this would happen.
Thank you for your service to our students, our own students, and the students all throughout the region. We really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, I just would add, thank you so much for your partnership with us. We're so grateful for our BOCES. It's really we're a premier BOCES, and the work that we do collaboratively, as Dr. Parker said, is really at the heart of everything and the work we're doing for our kids. But it's a true partnership. So thank you again for coming, and thank you, and we appreciate all that you do for our students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thursday night. Words for Adirondack.
That's one of my favorite Adirondack
We'll be
area
there.
school board meetings of the year. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is the elementary update with our elementary school principal, Mr. Jim Conway.
I know Denver has left already, but that was really cool to see him up here. Just really proud of. So since the last time we met, a lot has been going on at the elementary school, and there's a lot of exciting events that are coming up. Some things that I'll share over the past month, and just as recently as this past week, we completed our state testing. We're making that shift to computer-based testing across the board. Our kids are very well prepared, as they are each year. The science test at 5th grade, I did write a letter to the state saying it was too much for 5th grade kids. It was wrong what they did. It was a 44-page long test with 39 questions and a lot of text, but our kids were troopers as they worked through that. I wanted to just thank our PTSO for a number of things. On April 12th, they hosted our annual Air Band event, which was held in a packed auditorium as usual. So I see Amy Baker's out there, and I want to thank her since she's here for all that she does behind the scenes to help with that event. But certainly our PTSO is doing great things. And last week, or was it this week? Last week, Staff Appreciation, lose track. They put on a wonderful lunch at both buildings, recognizing the great work of our staff in the district. So thank you to the PTSO. So much music going on this past month and continuing to next month. We had our kids participating in the all-county band in Greenwich on the 19th and 20th. We have the NISMA Solo Festival coming up for band and chorus students on Friday. Our spring concert next week on Thursday, the 23rd at 7 p.m. So lots of music, and just so proud of the work that our music department does between Mallory and Mariah. They're wonderful. We hosted the Warren County Crime Victim Ceremony with a packed little theater. The family of Quentin Delgadillo was honored for their bravery and all that they've been through. Thank you to those of you who were able to be there. It was a very emotional moment, and I'm glad that we were able to host that event. Roundup. So 2 weeks ago, we held our kindergarten roundup, and that went very well. And this past week, we held our pre-K roundup, which also went very well. And that was very different, similar screening process, but you're screening 3 and 4-year-olds who are coming into the building. And all of our students had a chance to meet Mrs. Levine, who will be their teacher next year. So that was great. And I had a chance to meet all of our students and families. People are very thankful. So, again, thank you for supporting our universal pre-K. They're very excited about it. The kids are excited. So we're really progressing nicely. Our focus now is really shifting on, well, what does that curriculum look like? What is the structure of the day? So a lot of good things in the works with pre-K. I do want to mention next week is our annual art show and open house on Tuesday, the 21st. We always look forward to that. We will have a packed school with kids excited to share some of the good work that they've been doing in their classrooms with their parents. June 4th, the Regional Spelling Bee for students in grades 4 through 8. We go down to Ballard Road, 31 schools in the BOCES competing, and we are sending 2 students that won our local bee actually last night. And the past 2 years, Mr. Kokoza, a junior high student has won the Regional Spelling Bee, which is pretty amazing. So I don't know if we have a three-peat in the future or not. Last couple of things, one music item that I forgot. On June 5th, we have 28 5th and 6th grade students participating in the American Young Voices program. That's at MVP Arena down in Albany. A few years back, we were doing that, and then COVID kind of put the brakes on it. But it's a really exciting experience. The kids practice pieces, like thousands of kids, like 4,000 kids are practicing different pieces back in their home districts, and then they all converge in the afternoon. And they practice or rehearse with all these other students, and then they put on a concert that night. So it's a really cool experience for our students. And then finally, just thank you for responding to the invite. Our students for our leadership day. For our assembly program. Our kids were really excited to invite dignitaries in the community, which you all are as members of the Board of Education, superintendent, business administrator, and they're getting those back, and they're very excited. Oh, she said yes, or he said yes. While they were excited about the dignitaries, they also asked while they were sending out things, invitations like the mayor and assembly people, they looked at each other, these 3 5th grade girls, and they said, "Can we invite a celebrity?" I said, "I guess." Who are you thinking? They're like, Taylor Swift. So Lisa Fox and I looked at each other. Yeah, we looked like, yeah, I guess you could do that. So they searched an email for Taylor Swift, and they decided they were going to invite Travis Kelce too. So they did that. So I don't know if they will be sitting next to you at that event or not, because they haven't heard. But I know that Mayor Perry, Supervisor Crucito, Sheriff LaFar, Mr. Crucetti, of course, will be there. Lots of famous dignitaries, and possibly Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. So, any questions about anything?
Do you have?
I just wanted to make a comment, Jim. I had the, and for my board mates here, I had the privilege of attending the Warren County, what is it called? The Crime Victims Memorial event. And it was just, it was just it was an incredibly meaningful and remarkable event for our school to host. and for the rest, I'm not sure if other people know, but like people who in the community, either personally or professionally, who were involved, present, able to show up in a positive way and support people who are experiencing trauma, were recognized at that event. And it was just so powerful for all the days that everybody does good things and they don't get a standing ovation. That day they received recognition, and it was so beautiful. And I really want to shout out to our teacher, Ashley Gershon.
She was amazing.
And,
Yeah.
and a young student who was a friend of Quentin's, who spoke.
Grady
in tribute-
LeBaron.
In tribute to Quentin and his family, his mother. And I was so grateful that Ashley had like the heart and eloquence to speak as she did. It was beautiful. And I just wanted to shout out to her.
Thanks. I'll
You
relay
know,
that.
and for the little boy too. I
Yeah.
can't, it must have been, it was powerful. And yeah, so that's what I wanted to say. Thanks
All
for
right. Yep.
hosting.
Thank you.
It's great.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
And Jim mentioned, you don't have to, either way, Jim, mentioned all the music and I was thinking about when you said that it was fun to see Denver, who you had in
Yeah.
the elementary school, grow up into high school. And so I had the great pleasure of being on the scholarship cruise, and your previous elementary schools have grown up to be high school students and were entertaining us in the jazz band. Thank you, Amy Baker, for that. And it wasn't just a song or two. It was a huge repertoire of songs they played for the majority of the cruise, and it was really incredible. So we've got really great music going on, starting with the little ones all the way to our high schools and even some that have graduated.
Thank you for being strong supporters of the arts.
Yeah. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is a secondary update with Mr. Frank Kokoza, our junior senior high school principal.
Hi, good evening. As Rosemary fondly recalls, we're in the midst of AP exams. So Mr. Preuss is having fun working with our sophomores, juniors, and seniors as they plug through all of the AP exams. Jim did not mention, because he's scared, but this Saturday is Randy's Run and Murphy's Mile. I think John is going to take me on with a 5K or a mile race. I'm not sure, but it's a great, you will. Yeah, Marianne will. It's a great community event. It is Saturday morning, 8:30 at the elementary school for Murphy's Mile and 9 o'clock for Randy's Run. So if you're a mile runner, do the mile race. If you're a 5K, you can do the Randy's Run. Yeah. That's right. No. Because also on Saturday, right down by the firehouse, between the firehouse and Caldwell Presbyterian Church on Ottawa Street, the village is setting up a block party. So the Lake George schools will be performing from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock on the stage on Saturday. So Saturday morning, we're running the races. Saturday afternoon, 2 o'clock on the stage at the block party. So if you've got a few moments on Saturday for a free block party, come on by and watch our music department put on a great show for our village. Because the BOCES presentation was actually shorter than I had anticipated, I think I'll spend a little more time on this next topic than I had planned. As you probably have read, Lake George Village was awarded, and Lake George Town, the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, also known as the DRI, which is approximately a $10 million grant from the Department of State of our state, New York State, with the sole focus of revitalizing a downtown. I have the honor of serving on the LPC, even more acronyms, John. The LPC is the local planning committee. And the task of this LPC is to look at the proposals for the DRI and make determinations where that $10 million will go. So it runs the gamut of what various stakeholding groups in the village and town of Lake George feel that money should be spent on. The sole focus of revitalizing the downtown. And it runs the gamut from arts projects to street lighting to streetscapes to housing. So as part of the LPC, myself along with a fairly large committee will be reviewing the various proposals to the DRI and make decisions sometime mid-fall, this coming fall. However, in the process leading up to that decision, there's going to be many community engagement events. And the school district was asked to host the first public community engagement event. And I'm encouraging, as is John, the Board of Ed, and anyone else that you know, whether they're a resident of the town of Lake George or Village of Lake George or not, if they are affiliated with our district, it's an important opportunity for folks to, one, learn about the DRI, two, learn about the different proposals that are before the DRI, and three, give their input. So Wednesday, May 22nd, here in the library from 6 to 8 o'clock is the first public input session. You don't have to attend all 2 hours. You can stop by any time between 6 and 8, meet the members of the committee, and also give your feedback to the proposals. Additionally, we were asked, and we accepted immediately, if the student body could be engaged in this endeavor. So I encourage you, if you have the availability, Thursday morning, May 30th, Thursday, May 30th in the morning, the entire school will be in the auditorium in which the DRI committee, the LPC, will be soliciting student feedback from our students in grades 7 through 12 on their ideas of where the $10 million should be spent. Concurrently, our county, if you've been following along, and if you haven't, I really think you should, our county is looking at the Warren County 2040 strategic plan, in which Warren County has taken a step back, looked at education, housing, employment, transportation, infrastructure, so on and so forth, and is putting together stakeholding groups to solicit feedback as to where the county should be focusing our efforts from now until 2040. I also been asked to serve on that committee, and the primary focus and lens that I'm going to be looking through for that committee is the educational endeavors and initiatives within the county between now and 2040. So I feel like a lot of interesting things are coming together. John and I, Megan, John and I, and Jim, John, Megan and I, and Bonnie, we've all had many conversations about, the future of our district. And when Katie and Jeff spoke at Meet the Candidates, and we talked about where our district is going to be in the next 5-10 years, I feel like a lot of things are coming together right now within the village, within the town, and now with the county. So when folks say, well, what is Lake George Schools doing in regards to declining enrollment? Well, we're part of the conversation. And that's, I feel, the most important piece. So please tell whoever you know of these opportunities for them to be engaged in the futuring of not only our township and our district, but our county. So I'll just pause there for a second. I don't know if you have any questions, because that's a fairly significant topic and important topic.
Where will it be posted in terms of when all of those community gatherings will be occurring?
Yep. So there's a dedicated website right now to the Lake George DRI. If you just Google Lake George DRI, Lake George, New York DRI, it'll bring you right to the website. There's a lot of information on there. And the initial workshop, John is scheduled to
Yeah, we have parent square messaging scheduled to go out tomorrow
good.
to all of our families about it,
Great.
including some links to the website referenced along with attachments of the flyers. So information will be out there tomorrow.
And one more question, how does the LPC, do you work at all, do you, at like the town planning board, do they, I mean, how does it all?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So without getting into too much detail, because we could be here all
Yeah.
night, each of the proposals have to be shovel ready. So that means proposals are already vetted through planning boards or those type of processes. Financing has to be in place or matched to be in place. And it has to fall within the mission, vision, and values of the DRI proposal to revitalize the downtown. So, for example, if somebody who has a restaurant or a business in the village and they just want to do some upgrades to their facility, that might not necessarily make it through the first round of funding. It may be able to be funded in a different fashion, but not be in line with the overall theme of revitalization. Whereas other more significant comprehensive projects, you might have been reading about some of them, like for example, Shepherd Park and the upgrades to Shepherd Park. The Caldwell Library has a proposal right now to make the entrance and the library accessible, ADA accessible. Those plans are already in place. They have quotes in place. It just needs the money. So there's a lot there, but I think that kind of answers it for now.
Thank you for your partnership and dedication to that. That's really important. So
Yeah, I'm
glad-
excited for it, keeping John up to date so that he can keep you all folks up to date. And last topic I had is that next Wednesday, the annual tradition of Senior Give Back Day continues, in which the senior class will be descending upon our town and village to give back. Our Lake George Rotary sponsors a picnic lunch at Shepherd Park for all of the seniors. But these are the locations that they will be descending upon next Wednesday. Caldwell Church, the food pantry, Caldwell Library, Double H, Lake George DEC island cleaning. So they're going to go out on a boat and clean the islands. Exit 21 Rotary Corner, John will be facilitating that. The food pantry at Sacred Heart. Some work with science experiments with students at the elementary school, thanks to Jim to allowing that. St. James Church, a small congregation, relies heavily on our students once a year to come in and completely clean that facility. And the Warren County Warren Center Nursing Home, in which our students will go and spend some time with residents of the nursing home. So that's next Wednesday. And finally, an interesting topic. So recently I spoke to the board about changing the venue of graduation, the graduation ceremony to the auditorium. Through working with the honor group and the members of the senior class, and tradition trumps all, the ceremony is going to take place in the gymnasium. So the will of the class of 2024 is that the ceremony will be back in the gymnasium. So you will be warm, which is fine. But we have the gymnasium down to a science, and we know what we're doing in there. So we'll be in the gym that Thursday evening.
What would graduation be without a little bit of warmth, right?
That's right. That's
From the
all I
heart and from Mother Nature.
That's right. Thank you, Kim.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, Donna, so surprisingly, I thought that's where we were going to get the initial pushback. Nothing. We had shared that a good year in advance, just like next year's graduation is, or date and time has already been shared with the members of the junior class for next year's. And when we initially rolled it out, the auditorium was it, and everyone seemed excited about it. And then parents started to reflect and people started to think further. And we wanted to make sure that the students were happy where their ceremony is. So it will be in the gymnasium. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you for your work with the students on that. The next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report with Mr. John Luthringer, our superintendent.
Yes, thank you. And I know Emmett Connolly and Jaden Johnson weren't able to be here tonight. They were here, and I know how excited they certainly are about their CTE programming as well. Emmett goes to Early College Career Academy at SUNY Adirondack. He's in the Advanced Manufacturing program, and Jaden. I've had the pleasure of eating Jaden's food at a lot of my CTE meetings that I go to. So he's a wonderful chef in the making. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Kokoza, I think Jaden's gotten 2 full rides to either Johnson & Wales or Culinary Institute of America for pursuing his career in college. So he's going to be the real deal. I wouldn't be surprised if he's creating a restaurant wherever he might be. So I know they would have spoken so highly of their programming as well. I have a little bit of a smorgasbord of updates for you here. So I threw them into a little bit of a presentation. The first one here I want to share, again, you heard our BOCES talk about the partnership and collaboration, and this is another one called Handle with Care that I've been a part of through another organization that I work with, which is called the Warren County Interagencies Meetings Committee. And that is a whole, every monthly on Fridays, a group of us get together that include leadership from our local BOCES, along with pretty much leadership from every community agency that you can think of. The sheriff office, the Big Brothers Big Sisters, the hospital, BHSN, just a lot of different entities coming together to learn about each other, learn about services that we can provide, and really help our students. That's really what the goal of this agency is. And one of the items that was worked on over really the last year was this concept called Handle with Care. And I just want to explain it to you all here. And it's really a collaboration across Warren County. And the way it works is that the intention behind this is a notification, a general notification that does not include any HIPAA-related information or anything. But if there's a traumatic event in the community that involves a student, we oftentimes don't know that happens. School districts do not know until much later, perhaps days down the road. And we may be seeing a student suffer in silence or experience some challenging behavior, or even it could be as simple as not getting their homework done or something like that. And we don't necessarily know what has happened. So this Handle with Care program actually started in another county, in Putnam County in New York State. And essentially what happens is if there's a traumatic event where a service agency is present, whether it be sheriff, state police, Glens Falls PD, EMTs in our Warren County, we have developed a process of a notification to local districts. And it's a very simple process. So if that occurs, BOCES, who we're all affiliated with as partner schools, as component schools, acts as the ones who know which child is in each district, because a sheriff or an EMT isn't going to know specifically what district that child might be in. So the agency sends a simple note. It's one sentence. It says the student's name and it says Handle with Care. And we know as schools and as BOCES and as a service agency, that means that there was some sort of traumatic event that required EMTs, police, something at the household, or it could be an accident somewhere not at the household. So essentially the service agency makes contact to BOCES. BOCES then sends an email to the representative of each school district. I am the designated school personnel for Lake George. And again, the email that comes is student's name and Handle with Care. That's all it says. It is then, a plan has been developed locally within the district, how that is disseminated. So essentially I've worked with building principals. If we were to receive a notification like that, we would let them know. And it would be determined who are the best staff members that need to be aware of this. Probably a classroom teacher, perhaps a social worker or counselor. And really the goal is just to be aware. It's not for us to intervene. It is not for us to call the parents and ask a million questions. It is really for us to be aware and observe the student. And if they experience signs of distress or trauma or something along those lines, then we can institute a process of supporting that student, talking with parents, working through whatever that might be. So this has just started. It has just launched this month. There's been 3 calls regionally. We have not received one. It has worked. It is working well. And it's something that we're going to reevaluate over time. So I wanted to kind of share this out with the board. I know I've shared it previously, but just how this works and just to make sure that you're aware and anybody that this is going on, but it is not, there's no privacy. There's nothing really shared other than it's just a notification that something happened and for us to keep eyes on the student. So one of the other things that I'm going to spend a little bit of time on here is, as the board knows, we have to have lots of plans in our district. As you all know, we have lots of plans and lots of acronyms. So this one we're going to talk about with English language learners has lots of acronyms. So I'm going to do my best not to confuse anybody. This is a very general overview of the requirements that school districts have to have in place when educating English language learners in our school. So we have to have a plan, which we are in the process of developing. We've been doing it for the last few months. I'm going to have a draft to the board leading up to the June board meeting. We're finalizing it right now. But essentially, there's a regulation in New York State. It's called CR Part 154. It started in 2014, and its intention is that it's a legal requirement for the education of English language learners. So as a school district, we educate all students, including ones that come with us with different home languages. We're required to have a plan on file in case there's an audit, but essentially all the components of the plan are things that we've been doing over the last several years. We're just getting them into a plan. And really the goal of the plan is to outline the practices of meeting the educational needs of students who are English language learners or ELLs. So in our district, this is a couple little bit of statistics here. So what you're seeing on this side is last year's data. We officially had 7 English language learner students that ranged in ethnicities of Hispanic or Latino. We had 2 Asian students, and we had 2 that their ethnicity identified as white. The languages that were spoken were Spanish, Chinese, Urdu, and Polish. Those were the 4 different languages out of the 7. Urdu is a language that is primarily spoken in Pakistan. This year, we have 3 students. So we have a kindergartner, first, and a fourth, and the primary home languages for those students are Spanish and Polish. So those are the students that we have currently is 3 students. So one of the things that we have to outline in the plan, and again, this is just generally some general overview for the board to understand when a student presents themselves or a family registers and they have a different home language as a primary language, they're from a different country, these are the steps that we would follow. So there is a home language questionnaire that is filled out that has lots of questions about all sorts of different things, but in particular language. There's also a test that is given to students as well, and it's called the New York State Identification Test for English Language Learners, or is otherwise known as NICETEL. And basically the outcome of that assessment is to determine the English proficiency level. The proficiency level, which I'm going to show you, indicates the level of service. So how much servicing a child would need. The levels can include entering, which is beginning level, all the way up to commanding, which is proficient in English. The services, there's, just so you're aware, some schools that are large schools, they will have an ENL student or teacher on staff. So an English as a new language, or sometimes referred to as an ESL teacher, English as a second language. They sometimes have one or many on staff. A district our size, we contract for those services. We contract, again, another great partnership with our local BOCES. So that we do contract with, who helps provide the services and the assessment. And that teacher is a certified English for speakers of other languages. So again, the acronyms change over time. So now it's an ESOL teacher. Parents and students are a big part of the process. Strong collaboration. There's interviews, there's conversations, there's an orientation process that occurs. Obviously, there's interpreter services available if needed. We're also able to use lots of resources now. As I was sharing with someone recently, AI has been a wonderful tool in helping our teachers, Google Translate, but ultimately, we are able to get interpreter services if needed. And again, these services are provided through that ESOL teacher in collaboration with our regular education teachers and our building administration. So once that NICETEL is given, it does determine the level of service. So essentially, there are three main types of programs. There's a standalone English as a new language, an ENL program. So standalone means that child maybe at the beginning level and is needing to actually learn specifically the English language. So they might spend time just in one-on-one or a small group, depending on the number of students, learning the language. There's also integrated ENL program, which is a requirement at all levels of language proficiency. So that's something that occurs all the time. Integrated means the ESOL teacher pushes in, supports the student in the regular education environment, and is co-teaching a big part of that time with the student in their regular education classroom, assisting with language development, but also assisting with the student understanding the content. There's then the transitional bilingual program. That's only if there's 20 or more ELL students of the same home language at a specific grade level. That would be essentially a traditional bilingual program where they might be teaching Spanish and English at the same time for those students. That would only be, again, if we had 20 students of the same language in a specific grade level, where that would be a requirement to offer, which we don't have that. Throughout the year, every single year, the students are required to take another assessment, this one called the NYSIS-LAT, New York State English as a Second Language Achievement Assessment. That assessment reassesses their growth and their proficiency. Because as students learn and grow, they might change their proficiency levels. So of course, that's always the goal, which would then change their servicing. So this is I'm just showing, I'm not going to read all this, but I just wanted to show you what the state provides us. These are the requirements. Again, it's a highly regulated program of services that we have to require to teach. So at the top here, you'll see the different levels after the student takes that first assessment. So they might be in the entering, emerging, transitioning, expanding, or commanding level of English. Then this chart going down is the requirement for the number of minutes over the course of a week that a student would have to receive, and the program. So you can see standalone is only if they're in the entering or emerging. Integrated goes all the way across. Once they continue to move up the levels, how it's provided can be a little bit flexible, as you can see here. But essentially, this is the continuum that we're required to follow with a certified teacher providing those services. There's a chart just like this for, this is a K-8 chart. There's a 9-12 chart. There's also a bilingual chart. But again, it's a lot of the same information, so I didn't, for redundancy purposes, just wanted to show you what one of these looks like. This is what we're required to follow. So once that student takes the assessment, building administration and the teachers, they use this as a guide to help determine the level of services. Oh, so I'm going to pause there. I just wanted to give you a little overview. So the CR Part 154 plan that we have to have in place basically encompasses all of the requirements and how Lake George is implementing them. As part of the plan, we had to create a district philosophy statement. There's other elements into it that you will see that we've had to include, but it is something that we do have students that are English language learners. We're proud of them. They're great kids. And, we see them over there in the elementary school quite often. They're integrated fully into our programming. And it is something that, it does fluctuate a lot each year. As you can see, one year we had 7 and then we had 3 this year. So I just wanted to give you a little overview because I'm going to share our draft plan as we get closer to finalizing it with the board very soon. And yes, if you have questions, I'll pause.
Okay, thanks. I was just thinking about the New York State test, identification test. Do we provide that test at the school?
Yes.
And what triggers that? Like, how do we know who?
It's triggered from the home language questionnaire. So when a student registers or we're made aware that a student's family or the student themselves may, English might not be their home language, then we're required to administer the home language questionnaire. And then that determines that we have to offer the assessment.
And you said that the numbers fluctuate a lot. Is that because students are just moving in and out of the district?
Yes. Yeah.
So when a student goes to another district, do they take that test information with them, or every time they go, when someone comes here or goes somewhere else, do they retake that test?
If they're already part of the, anytime a student leaves our district, there's a request for records. So these would be part of the record request program as well. And if a student was part of an ELL program in another district, then we would make sure we request whatever programming they were part of as well. The NICETEL is only the initial assessment. It's given one time. And then the NICES LAT is given as sort of a progress monitoring tool throughout. So it's only given once. There's a lot of layers to this. It's complex, and that's why we do rely on the experts, somebody who is actually a certified instructor who's trained in these assessments, and they really help guide us in the process.
Thanks I appreciate putting it all together in a package. And
You'll have-
hopefully that's
you'll have the
heard of in its
package.
own way too.
Yeah.
So thank you.
We've actually had ESL service or ELL services for years. I think you're just putting it together in what the state is requiring in a plan. I was the ELL coordinator for years here, so we did a lot of these steps.
Yeah.
And so now it's just designated in a plan, and that, each district has to complete it. But it makes sense and it's good for the kids. So
Yeah.
it's a good program. And it's great that we have BOCES to use for these services.
Yes, you're
Because of
absolutely
the fluctuating numbers, we couldn't possibly hire someone to take care of those kids.
correct.
So,
Yes, you're absolutely correct. This has been a long-standing practice. We're putting it all together in a package. I think it'll be clear for everybody.
John, is the home language questionnaire, is that for the students' parents or guardians, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And-
It's part of the it's actually part of our district registration process.
Mhm.
It's offered, it's part of our process.
And is the questionnaire in their own language, in their
It
home language?
absolutely can be,
Okay.
yes. So any of the documents can be translated. In particular, the home language questionnaire is specific, it's from New York State.
Mhm.
And on their website, they have, I mean, I don't know the number, but many, many, many languages that it can be just printed right off. So I have a few other items here, just wanted to bring the board up to speed on. So every year the Board of Education passes a resolution regarding pesticides and fertilizer application. It is a requirement. We have to do specific notifications to residents as well. So as part of as we're always, we just had our Building and Grounds Committee meeting earlier. We're always looking at ways that we need to continue to improve our facilities, which include our athletic fields. And we really have a need to address the Upper Mountain Drive athletic field here. So our upper fields, the football fields and the adjoining fields, they have significant broadleaf weed and grubs that are present. The fields have are really in need of support. Significant issues. So through Kevin Parrott, we've been working on a plan for that, and we're contracting with Jim Gerard Landscaping for an application of pesticides and fertilizer to improve those fields. It'll all be done in accordance with all DEC and APA regulations. It is something that we are allowed to do if there's a need. There is a significant need on those fields. And at this point, we are scheduled to do that on May 24th. May 24th is a perfect date for us because we do not have school on that day. As you'll remember, it's an unused snow day. So it will be no students here, limited staff will be here. It is only to the upper field. It is not going to be applied anywhere else. There will be signage appropriately placed up there. going to be closed for 2 days to give us extra time. Technically, by law, it only has to be closed for 24 hours, but we're going to close the field for 48 hours just to be sure. We will be sending out those notices to our residents, and we'll be putting information on our website in regards to the closure there. But I did want to inform the board of this need here. A celebration here. So Sarah Olson, our library media specialist in the junior senior high school, was named the library media specialist of the year in our region. So through our local BOCES of 31 component schools, there was a elaborate process, and she had a very glowing recommendation from some of our colleagues. So we're excited to celebrate with the high school. And Sarah, Mr. Kokoza will be going down in the event. So it's nice. We have a wonderful person who's been named the Library Media Specialist of the Year. So it's fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. And then lastly, I know that both principals talked about a lot of these, but we have a lot of great upcoming events upon us soon. We're at that time of year where it seems like there's 3 or 4 or many more a week of end of the year events. So we have Randy's Run and Murphy's Mile. I will be running slowly and possibly walking most of it, but I'll be there and excited. We have the Lake George Village Block Party. I'll be also working with Rotary that day as well, but we're excited for that event, supporting it, and we're thankful for our music department's efforts in offering some entertainment that night. We also, as you all know, our school budget vote and board election is next Tuesday. In association with that, we have our K-6 open house and art show that will be going on. So that's a big day. We're excited for that. We encourage everyone to get out and vote. And then again, we have lots of great year events. Check the district calendar. There's lots of different things. The board members are certainly welcome to attend any and all of the events that you might see. And Mr. Kokoza spoke at length about the Village DRI community event, which is on Wednesday. We will be sending information out from the school specifically to parents, so they're aware as well. That's all I have. Any questions?
No, I was just going to say thank you for clarifying with the handle with care that people's personal information isn't getting shared. That was an important distinction to make in a question that I had, because the pamphlet, that just leaves a question mark there. So I appreciate you clarifying that. It's important.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is our Audit and Finance Committee report, and Mario Fasula will give that. He is the chair of that committee.
Thanks, Katie. We reviewed the treasury report for March 2024. We received state aid in the amount of just under $503,000, with BOCES aid in the amount of $132,000. The state aid is determined by actual expenses and state aid ratio allocation. So the aid amount does fluctuate each year based on the changes in the expenses. So when we prepare the budget, we're not able to use an exact dollar amount. So we do a projection, and then the final aid amount can vary depending on what our actual expenses are. And for this year, they're pretty close in the same figures from last year, which allows us a little bit more control with our budgeting. Claim auditor's report for March was reviewed. There was nothing there. We went over the budget as well because it was approved a few days before. Bonnie last week, right, did a substantial budget review. I can't do it justice, but a couple of things the one thing that was the most important was it restored the hold harmless provision, which reversed the initial cuts in the foundation aid. And that was a big dollar amount. And we, many schools dodged a bullet there. They are doing a study by the end of the year, which is a little bit quick, to see if that's something that can be cut out of other budgets or if it's something that's going to have to stay with us. But Bonnie did a great job with the budget presentation. I think the budget flyer that went out was phenomenal. It's got a lot of good information on it. It's not going to get lost in the shuffle. This is my personal opinion. I like the size of it. There's a ton of good information on it. And we're going to do the budget vote on Tuesday, 5/21 between 11 and 8. So hopefully all that information, people will get involved. But there was a lot of good information there. We reviewed the profit and loss statement for the food service operations through the month of February. In November, the district achieved the status of community eligibility provisions, which essentially means the state reimbursed the district for all breakfast and lunches at the school for students. Even though the school year, the P&L for the food service operation is going to show a net loss. It's slightly lower than previous years. Probably most of it is because the state reimbursement of the CEP, the Community Eligibility Provision, and a la carte sales were a little bit higher. We did get some food supply federal assistance grant. However, they're not guaranteed from year to year. And I know that the business office works hard to get different grants as we go. But with the CEP, we did see an increase in lunch and breakfast. We saw a 74% increase in breakfast and a 23% increase in lunch. And it's students that have the means, but it's also students that don't have the means. And that's the most important part. And I think the faculty, the staff, the bus drivers, they've been doing a really good job of talking about it and having kids be aware that there is an option out there if they're not able to get something at home. We also talked a lot about labor costs and supplies. I mean, you guys see what commodities cost at the grocery store. The food service is no different here at the school, and labor as well. Labor is always the number one expense in a business. So for the 24-25 school year, they're recommending that there will be an elimination of a lunch period because the enrollment is declining. So we're going to reduce the need for 3 lunch periods. That'll help a little bit with labor costs. And as positions become available, they'll talk to within the 2 schools and assess the need for another role, if there is one or not. The district has applied for several grants to fund the replacement of equipment in both cafeterias. We'll see how that goes down the road. We are looking to maintain our stability with our internal food service operation and not go outside. That never goes well. And then we reviewed the final P&L for the 24-25 school year, went profit and loss, which was the whole thing that we reviewed. And that is it for audit and finance.
Thank you, Mario. The next item on the agenda is the Policy Committee report with Mary Ann McKenzie, who's the chair of that committee.
Okay. The Policy Committee met on May 6th, and the minutes from that meeting are attached to the agenda tonight for your review, and a lot of the information that's in there will supplement this report out. The Policy Committee has reviewed several policies since we last met, and the first 6 that are listed on the agenda are listed under reviewed with no changes. So those policies were reviewed by the Policy Committee. No changes are being recommended, and so those policies will just remain as is, but receive an updated date of review attached to them. Under first read, there are 7 policies moving forward. And of those 7, 4 of them have only minor wordsmithing suggestions. And those 4 are the first 2 listed, 5630, which is facilities inspection, operation and maintenance, and 5691, communicable diseases, and human immunodeficiency virus, HIV-related illnesses. And then at the bottom of that list, the last 2, 5684, use of surveillance cameras in the district and on school buses, and 5110, budget planning and development. So again, those 4 have just minor wordsmithing recommendations. And the other 3, sandwiched right in the middle there, are all new policy, or I'm sorry, they're not all new policies. 1640, absentee military and early ballots. This policy was formerly entitled absentee ballots. I'm sorry, my computer screen just disappeared on me. There we go. So 1640 was absentee ballots. It's now going to be called absentee military and early mail ballots. And this policy came to the committee by way of Erie-Wambosi's update. And this update, whoops, sorry. So sorry. excuse me. Okay. So this policy came from Erie One BOCES to reflect the Early Mail Voter Act. There are sections added to the ed law to create a process to allow New York State voters the opportunity to vote early by mail. And this process mirrors closely the absentee voter process. And when the policy committee reviewed it, we basically just are in agreement to just take in the new language from Erie One BOCES and move it forward to first read. And the next two policies are new policy referrals. The first one is 6123, employee religious expression. And this is a new policy that that we're recommending forward per the guidance that we've received from NYSBA and supported by superintendent referral to make sure that the guidance is to make sure that school districts ensure the presence of clear documentation regarding when employees are acting in their official capacity. And this came about so that, okay, yes, NYSBA, Katie's reminding me to clarify that NYSBA is the New York State School Board Association, and that's our state level guiding institution. So that recommendation, that guidance came about because so that it's clear for employees when they're working in their official capacity, when they're not, in terms of employee religious expression, so that there's no ambiguity and everybody's on the same page to avoid ambiguity and misunderstanding. While we reviewed this policy, we also discussed the use of, or for people who are seeking reasonable religious accommodations in the district. We had a consensus, there was a consensus and thought that, individuals seeking religious accommodations go to their supervisors, and that, the most optimal way to sort of seek to help people meet their needs would be to just engage and have a discretionary conversations with their administrator. And so, yeah, this is a new policy, and we're putting that forward for first read. And then the last policy is 3130, use of school district trademarks and service marks. This is also a new policy per our superintendent referral, and it is in support of our Lake George Central School District branding guide. The policy template used came from Erie One. And yeah, it's just kind of it's not a very long policy, but it's a basic one. What is it in reference to, the trademarks of the district? Who does the policy apply to? And it kind of addresses questions of use of imagery or logos for retail or I guess, what's that? Commercial purposes. Thank you. So, yeah, that's a new policy. And yeah, there are other policies that were addressed at the end of our policy committee meeting that we'll be addressing as we approach our July reorganization meeting. These are policies that require annual review, and we're just getting them teed up for that annual cycle. And you can take a look at that in the minutes. Any questions?
I've got a question.
Tricia, go ahead.
Thank you. Was there any conversation about whose responsibility it would be to address if the branding guide wasn't being used properly? Does that fall in the superintendent purview, or is there a process?
Well, we did talk. There is a comment up at the top of the policy that indicates that the district will not recognize any incorrect imagery or changing of the imagery, in terms of altering the imagery or logo in any fashion. We talked about that. Can tell me a little bit more specifically, Trish, what?
I was just curious, if it started appearing in some of these in other ways, in other uses that weren't approved in the brand guide, right? If there was any kind of process in place, I guess it would just be brought to the district's attention and it would be addressed from there.
Yeah.
Is my guess. I was just curious if there was any conversation.
Well, I think that the policy, it points to, code of conduct, and I think I would have to go back and take a look at it, but actually, let me pull that up.
Yeah, Tricia, we did discuss that, and there's lots of, one thing that we looked at was you could go as far as registering your trademarks with the federal government,
right?
Which is I think one thing that we felt was a little bit too far for us to do. But one thing we did talk a lot about was that the district trademarks, service marks, they must be used in accordance with our applicable board policies, administrative regulations, and codes of conduct. And certainly if there was something, well, we can't control every entity, but if something were to come to our attention that was outside the confines of those applicable policies, that would certainly be addressed by me. As far as, pursuing litigation and things, that we'd have to see how that would play out, what type of how it was being used, but certainly if it was outside of those policies or code of conduct, then that would be addressed.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you. The next item is public comment, and Sarah's indicating to me that no one signed up for public comment. We have a sign-up sheet just so that we can know who comes to the mic, and we're able to get back to them if we have their contact information. But if at any point someone would like to make a public comment and they haven't signed up, you're not required to sign up. So if there's anybody who would like to make a comment, please feel free. And if anybody is attending remotely, if you have a question for the board, you can send it to boe@lkgeorge.org, and the board and the superintendent will get that, and we can get back to you with your comment or question. The next section is school business, and I just wanted to talk about, just for a minute, about consent agendas. We, for several years now, have done consent agendas, and we do that to be efficient. And just so that everyone knows, the board gets a lot of information on a weekly basis from the superintendent reports. We do a lot of reading prior to board meetings. And as you heard from our wonderful policy and audit finance committee reports, there's a lot that goes on in our committee meetings, which are also open to the public. And so we have an opportunity to have a lot of discussion in there. And when we get the minutes and the reports, we have an opportunity to ask questions there. And for example, Mary Ann had a question after one of our weekly reports that John presented on tonight about the Handle with Care. And so John gave us more information on that tonight. Anytime in a consent agenda, if an item can be a standalone item for discussion, a board member can request that. But we like to be efficient because we had a student present tonight. We had presentations. It gives us more time for more detail to spend on things like Fran was able to go into a little more detail tonight and still have an efficient meeting. So I just wanted to let folks know that, because sometimes it seems like we're really quick in this part, but we've done a lot of reading and a lot of thinking, and so just wanted to let you know that. So with that said, the first consent agenda is the school business consent agenda.
As recommended by the superintendent, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Lake George Central School District hereby approves the school business consent agenda items A through G. In summary, items A are minutes from previous board meetings. Item B is Committee on Special Education recommendations. Items C and D are in reference to Treasurer's report and claims order reports. Item E is a motion to approve the field trip request to SUNY Plattsburgh for the Model OAS Latin American Studies for a model assembly, or participation in the model assembly. Item F is the sealed auction bids for Auctions International for our broken tractor. The board may remember our accessing of repair reserves. So there was an auction of the broken tractor and the highest bidder in the amount of $10,200. Item G is a motion to authorize a budget transfer of $260,500 by increasing the BOCES technology outlay appropriations. This is in reference to our district's technology one-to-one replacement plan.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
Do you have any questions? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. The next item is the faculty staff resignations.
As recommended by the superintendent, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Lake George Central School District hereby approves the faculty staff resignation/retirement consent agenda items A through B. Item A is a motion to accept the resignation of Mark Bleibtree from the position of physical education for the purpose of retirement effective October 1st, 2024. And item B is a motion to accept the resignation of Kevin Barrett from the position of maintenance mechanic for the purpose of retirement effective July 5th, 2024.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion, questions? Yeah. Yeah. Yes, definitely. Thank you. Thank you very much for your service. We're very appreciative. I got one more item. Just any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. So yes, thank you. Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause for their. The next item is faculty staff resignations, not retirement, right?
As recommended by the superintendent, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Lake George Central School District hereby approves the faculty staff resignations consent agenda items A through C. Item A is a motion to accept the resignation of Lisa Fox from the position of administrative assistant. Item B is a motion to accept the resignation of Mariah Nissen from the position of music teacher. Item C is a motion due to decline in enrollment, a reduction in force of one employee of full-time elementary special education teacher, grades 1 through 6.
Do we have a motion? Do you have any questions? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. And again, thank you to these folks for their service to the district. Much appreciated. And a round of applause. The next item on the agenda is faculty staff consent agenda.
As recommended by the superintendent, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Lake George Central School District hereby approves the faculty staff consent agenda items A through G. Item A is a motion to appoint Jenna Smith to a 4-year probationary appointment as a school psychologist commencing July 1st, 2024. Item B is a motion to appoint Joseph Negron to the position of full-time bus driver. Item C is a motion to appoint Angelo Rikiki to the position of permanent substitute bus driver. Item D is a motion to approve the leave of absence request of Casimira Hensler, special education teacher. Item E is a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between Lake George Central School District and the Lake George Staff Association. Item F is a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between the Lake George Central School District and the CSEA. And item G is another motion of a memorandum of understanding between the district and the CSEA.
So moved.
Do you have any questions? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries.
I just want to
yes,
get,
oh,
Jenna's here tonight.
Yes.
So
Yes, thank you.
thank you, Jenna.
Thank you for being here and welcome.
Yes, we look forward to having Jenna starting as our new school psychologist for next year, and you are free to go. So thank you.
The next item on the agenda is tenure recommendations.
As recommended by the superintendent, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Lake George Central School District hereby approves the following faculty staff recommendations for tenure and effective dates in their respective tenure areas. Kaylee Seymour, English Education, effective 9/1/2024, and Sandra Melissa Stark, teaching assistant, effective 9/1/2024.
So moved. Second.
Do you have any questions? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries.
And Kaylee's here as well, so.
Congratulations. The next item on the agenda is the Board of Education comments and discussion. Do we have anything this evening? Go ahead.
I just wanted to let people know that I attended and John attended this too, the New York State School Board Association virtual policy workshop on artificial intelligence, a new frontier for district policy. And it was a good session. But I just wanted to just bring it up because we'll probably have a conversation about it in policy, and NYSBA did provide a sample policy and basically just simply trying to like situate the topic of artificial intelligence within the context of some of our other like acceptable use policy and code of conduct. And but basically, I think there were three things, acknowledge the current landscape as it relates to schools, set basic ground rules, and then, situate it within the context of other guiding documents. But it was pretty interesting. The couple of the most interesting things that stood out to me was, the concern and need to be careful with private information, personally identifiable, identifying information being inputted into, some of these platforms. And also just, there was an equity piece that was interesting too, which is that student understanding and ability to use AI is impacted by household income, and kind of pointing to the fact that we need to support students in learning and knowing how to function with these tools. So anyway, it was interesting, and probably there'll be more to come on that. I just wanted to share that experience with you.
Thank you both for attending that. That's great. Is there anybody else? Then the next item is the second public comment. And our. Yes, please come forward here.
This past weekend,
Do you want to come up?
Got it. This weekend, I took 74 7th, 8th, and 9th graders overnight to Hershey Park. Fran didn't mention it because it didn't consume him quite like it consumed me, but for the month ahead of time. But I want to just really give a shout out to Fran, to John, to the board for giving us support to take that trip and the way you support music, to the 11 parents who took the trip with us, very brave and adventurous souls, and the 73 kids who were just outstanding in their behavior. And kudos to Jim, the work he does through elementary programs, and the way the kids behaved, as they come to the high school, and then when we take them out of the district, the trust that they have earned to be able to take such trips. So it was a really great weekend. Both ensembles won first place, and it's just a testament.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you do for our music program.
Yeah, and Amy, you've been doing that for years, so thank you very much.
Rock, Amy.
Thank you. Okay, our next item on the agenda is a proposed executive session. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of Lake George Central School District hereby proposes entering into an executive session to discuss the employment history of particular employees. It's the superintendent evaluation and contract discussion. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Any questions? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. And we do not expect to come out into public session. So thank you.